Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, now versus then, how have their feelings towards you and the connection evolved or changed? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the red jasper star. Group 2 is the aventurine star. And group 3 is the agate star. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the red jasper star. So let's start with the energies of then. How did this person feel towards you when they first met you, when you were last in contact with them, or in the earlier stages of your relationship or getting to know one another? Okay, we have time, rhinoceros, be strong and courageous, and spider, weaver of dreams. So there's a sense here that you were their dream person, the perfect package, everything that they were looking for that they didn't know that they could find all in one person. And with that, almost as a sense of this could have triggered some panic on their part, caused them to sort of put up their boundaries or instinctually need to kind of pull back into themselves to introspect. It feels to be something that they were somewhat intimidated by you, or the idea of like a dream person in the flesh. Something that it feels like might have been a situation of right person, right time, actually, and or motivation to start to clear out obstacles within their life that would have stood between the two of you. This could have to do with things in a material world, or even kind of a sense of it feels like you brought to the surface, just you and your essence, you and the experience of getting to know you or spending time with you, brought to the surface a lot of wounds from this person's past that had caused them to maybe close their heart off to love, be guarded or skeptical, maybe just resign themselves to they were never going to find that ideal person, and so they were either going to be single forever or just end up having to settle. And then all of a sudden you come into their life and it's a sense of like, here's this person that you've been waiting for. Now you're challenged to take down those barriers and those walls, or sort of slough away that scar tissue that hadn't really healed properly or been dealt with within themselves, in order to kind of open up fully to be able to give and receive love in a healthy and reciprocal manner. So this feels to be something that it also kind of triggered them to question the nature of their own reality. Something where you may have made this person feel very self-conscious, things in their life that they could have settled for, or almost a sense of taking inventory of like spiritual or emotional work that they had either done up to that point in time, that for all the milestones or the efforts or like healthy boundaries that might have been put in place, things and people that they could have rejected prior to meeting you that kind of put them into this alignment of like right time, right place. They're also, and right person, this might have also really caused them to sort of look very triumphantly within themselves and feel vindicated about certain choices that had again led them to a place of alignment with you, or a sense of like, if I had taken a different path, or I'd taken an X back, or maybe even just sort of settled for the first thing that came along, I wouldn't be in that sort of proper positioning to encounter to encounter this person. But with that is then also it feels like, again, some kind of triggering within this person initially or kind of earlier on in your connection, or spending time with you, getting to know you. Even it feels like when they first sort of saw you or became aware of you, it caused them to need to look inside, to reflectively look inside and sort of say, what do I bring to the table? What do I really present that can be sort of worth and value to this individual that seems to exude everything it is that I'm looking for? So in a way, this almost feels like something that you helped to accelerate this person on their own healing journey, on, encouraging them to open their heart up to love, or open their heart up to you, to progress forward even along a spiritual journey, or to start to take more ownership or continue to be very proactive, it feels like, about changes they were either contemplating or already in the midst of kind of rolling out in their life, as far as like changes in career, working toward long-term goals, making healthier choices, change in lifestyle, maybe kind of like cutting out certain people from their life, or restructuring kind of the way in which they spend their time on a daily basis. This also feels like something where you could have triggered a spiritual awakening within this person, or they sensed kind of earlier on that the two of you might have been very spiritually aligned. Maybe you do walk the same spiritual path, or just something within your essence and energy. There's a sense that it feels like earlier on this person really sort of intuited or gleaned from what they knew about you, or just you really kind of expanded their mind or expanded their perceptions to the idea of like, I could learn something spiritually, I could have, a spiritual partner instead of just perhaps walking a solitary path. Or you might have even called this person's attention to matters of spirituality, to like a bigger purpose in their life, more than just sort of, what they do to make money, but kind of, what are they doing here with their time on earth? What sort of value are they adding, to the world around them, versus, kind of just going through the motions on sort of an average day. So let's take a look at how those feelings, thoughts and feelings have evolved or changed in regards to you in the connection. Okay, we have balance. Take time to relax, indulge a little more or less, set boundaries with your work. Boar. And the fox and ivy, adaptability. So this feels to indicate kind of, again, in relation to anything as far as like spiritual awakening or life changes, kind of transformations that they'd already been undergoing that might have intersected them with you, or that spending time with you, speaking with you, or even just kind of watching you from afar, watching you, live your life, move through your day-to-day kind of reality. It feels like something that they are inspired by you. They are motivated to continue along their own like personal process of clearing out clutter in their life. This is something where they feel very empowered, very, very confident, and kind of, it feels like untapped resources within themselves, emotionally speaking, that have been able to be brought to the surface through the interactions with you. Or there's like an increase in confidence in more of their authentic emotional self being very accepted by you, being very understood by you. There's a sense here that this person really feels that you either understand their love language, or you speak the same love language, or aspects of like an emotional part of them that they may not have had the proper motivation to bring forth before, or hadn't even known that they were capable of. There's a sense of you've really stimulated that within them, or you represent kind of a safe space where they could allow that part of themselves to become more of the dominant interaction, more of the dominant personality. There's a sense here as well, that you are encouraging them, or they are encouraged to change the way in which you view them, and it feels to be very expansive. There's a sense here of wanting to create closeness, bridge any gap between the two of you, particularly if this is something where this person maybe became very self-conscious, almost a bit flustered, or just without kind of pressuring them, you've almost held them to a higher bit of accountability, higher state of accountability, for themselves in terms of like, what do I bring to the table? What sort of, wounds do I need to heal within myself? What could I be doing to kind of fully appreciate the version of myself that I am now, or move toward that like better or favorite version of self? There's a sense of them wanting to kind of evolve and expand what they've presented to you so far. There's a desire to kind of like let you in closer because you feel like a safe space, like qualities about them, or even the idea of somebody in the midst of transformation. And with the idea of balance, kind of a process of trial and error where they're kind of learning to love even the parts of themselves that might be difficult to accept, parts of themselves that, romantically speaking, or previous romantic partners have not understood or have shunned in some sort of way, and so they've kind of kept that to themselves, or even just the sense of not really finding the right person, not really finding anyone very compatible prior to you that they could just be their authentic self with. And you've already kind of, not so much passed tests, but it feels like you just naturally have sort of built or inspired a confidence or a trust within this person, that even if that process of kind of, bringing a different version of themselves into the situation is a bit wobbly, or if this is somebody who's kind of transitioning in other areas of their life, pivoting, continuing to evolve and grow and expand on like their own, personal journey, their own professional journey, their spiritual journey, their emotional journey, healing journey, whatever that looks like, there's a sense of you are the type of person who, even if you don't understand fully their process, you would understand sort of the intention behind it. That you are somebody that they could relate to or maybe discuss these things with. That you would be somebody who kind of is the incentive or the motivation on the other side of continuing in that process of change. And you make change look very easy. So even if it's difficult, so things that you might have discussed with this person, or just as they've seen you kind of grow and evolve, as their kind of opinion of you, or the view of you, different things that you're sort of endeavoring, even if you don't discuss it, that it's just sort of reflective in kind of like how you present or how you interact with them. It's a sense of drawing closer to you, almost kind of matching your energy, or wanting to kind of meet you at that vibration, which inspires them, it feels like, to continue through some sort of process of heavy lifting within, to confront and sort of hold space for themselves in those uncomfortable parts of like who they are, or their past, or even sort of dreams towards the future that maybe they haven't had a lot of support from other people, or they themselves have been sort of doubtful and questioning. It almost feels to be something that now there's even a deeper understanding of you bring forth, or you elicit from within them, a truly accessible version of like a higher level love than they've known was possible, than they've experienced with other people. You're someone that almost like holds a light for them while they embrace themselves more deeply. So there's a lot of gratitude as far as that's concerned. And it's something that it feels like you've also really helped to expand and open their mind beyond like linear perceptions. It feels that you've helped this person to step beyond or release the need to cling to any kind of like guardedness, any kind of like scars or wounds from their past, major things that had caused them to sort of look at the idea of true love or deep romance or deeply resonant person with kind of like a glass half empty perspective. You instead have sort of flipped the script on that to where now they are hopeful for the future. They're hopeful for the future of this connection. They're motivated to continue along their own sort of personal path and journey, because they feel that the two of you are really, you're walking in tandem with one another, even if it looks very different on the outside, or internally, and just sort of whatever it is you're dealing with. Even if you don't discuss this with one another, there's a sense of like, you may bring something online within this person that's almost like an intuitive knowing, a sense of like a kindred spirit sort of energy, or soulmate kind of an energy. It feels like they're kind of moving into a place of acclimating to the idea that you are not just a person that they've met or a person that they've encountered, but you are highly significant for their life in general, for where they're at on their personal journey. And so it feels to be something that there is motivation to continue to unfold or blossom within this connection, or if there's distance between the two of you, to kind of do what they need to do personally in order to catch up with you, or to kind of bring the two of you closer together, to bring forth more from inside of themselves that doesn't just demonstrate kind of a repetition of previous cycles you two have been in, or that you've been in individually, but there's almost a motivation to continue to reach deeply within and bring forth that favorite version of themselves in order to be able to kind of breathe more life or vitality into whatever the next kind of evolution of your connection with one another is. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self and see what they would tell you right now if they could, and then I will get some initials to close out the reading. Okay, and they say, I was my own worst enemy, the last to know I needed help. Thank you for always sticking by me. So there's that confirmation that they have a lot of gratitude for you, even in the sense of, you may have encountered this person that when they were kind of in a state of doubt within themselves, within their life, choices that they'd made and kind of the results of that, the yield of that, something about even just being in proximity to you, exchanging energy with you, or things that you discuss, ways in which you connect with one another, moments of intimacy. This feels to be something that is highly motivational and inspirational. It helps this person to accept themselves and who they are in a greater sense, especially if they're in this kind of in-between phase of like learning to accept themselves more, cherish themselves more, celebrate themselves more, and move toward the future with like that vision of empowerment. This is almost something where if you've sat quietly with this person energetically or actually, that companionship, that sense of your presence has provided them hope at a time when that might have been very hard for them to come by, or you've accepted them in sort of this process of transmuting things or of metamorphosis. And so it's encouragement for them to continue along their personal process. And it also feels to be something which is reinforcing the idea that you are a positive influence for them to, continue to open up their heart or do what they need to do to kind of move closer to you, is something very beneficial for them and for you in the long term. And they also say your bravery and strength is inspiring. So again, more of that energy of whatever it is that you have shared with this person, or the way that you're living your life, what they know about your backstory and kind of like who you are now, how things may have shaped and transformed for you. It's encouraging this person to kind of face some uncomfortable truths or to let their guard down in a way that might not be customary for them, or that is necessary at this point in time. There's a sense in a way of like, you've come in as almost this divine blessing at a time where they may have really been sort of limiting themselves, limiting the quality of their life or the ability to cultivate joy and abundance in other areas, because they were holding on to some degree of like fear, lack, or wounding. And all of a sudden you've come along, right person, right time, or kind of, that motivator to sort of create that circumstance within themselves, or to continue to move toward that proper intersection. And it's something where there's almost the sense of you encourage them to kind of let go of their self-limiting beliefs, of energies within that have them like tense and kind of closed off within themselves. And the result of that, it feels like, has been positive changes. They're feeling better about themselves. Life may be looking up for them in different sort of ways. And there's also a sense of, to continue to sort of be in your presence. They glean a lot of wisdom from you. They gain a lot energetically, personally, and it feels to be something that they're very motivated to do what they can to ensure they're reciprocating that it's not just a one-way street, but like an even flow between the two of you. And they also say, I've been talking to trusted friends and family about us. So, they may be getting advice on sort of next steps that they want to take in the connection as they're opening their heart, as they're, kind of healing and acclimating to the idea of like a big love is here, or like a soulmate energy is here. This may be something where, they could have been kind of quiet or closed off, even sharing about their love life or their dating life with people around them. But there's a sense of, you feel so right to this person, or you feel so inevitable, kind of the next step or the next stage between the two of you, or even a reconciliation or a coming back together, if there's distance between the two of you, that it's a sense of like they're not wanting to keep this hidden or quiet, and they may be kind of nervous about sort of, you know, important conversations that need to take place, or kind of getting some feedback as far as maybe what they need to do in order to kind of bring more to the situation, or to create some kind of remedy if that's necessary in the circumstance. And they also say, no one understands my love language like you do. So there's that confirmation that came up earlier, the idea of how this person sort of communicates what's important to them, or the way in which they show love or demonstrate love. It's something that has been received very positively by you, or you resonate with that, or it's very similar to, you know, kind of ways in which you show and demonstrate love. There's a sense here of gratitude as well for any kind of space that you've allowed this person. Like if there are times where they're just sort of quiet, you know, withdrawn, or even kind of forlorn within themselves, there's a sense of you honoring that rather than pushing them, rather than you know, getting very defensive, or jumping to conclusions in a very negative sense, that you simply allow them to go through whatever their process is, trusting that sort of, you know, for any kind of disconnect or a closing off, or again, times where they're sort of still or quiet, there's like an unspoken understanding, it feels like, that they sense or perceive, that you just sort of know what it is they're going through, or what the motivations are, even if they can't really articulate that. And so allowing this person's space, you know, to continue to kind of move through their individual journey in life, or whatever they're focused on right now, carries a lot of weight. It brings a lot of value to the situation. It increases the way in which this person is looking at you as a very necessary and highly desired component of their life currently and moving forward. They also say, I've written and deleted so many messages. So that can be more of that energy of kind of gearing up to have some big conversation with you, something that they want to express, maybe, you know, opening up emotionally, or more thoroughly about kind of what it is that they're feeling, long-term plans that they may have, or kind of taking them, the connection in the next level. This can also speak of the energy of like apology or reconciliation, explanation in some way, you know, if they've kind of withdrawn or closed off, or there's distance between the two of you. This feels to be something that can also tie in with the idea that they've been talking to trusted family and friends, kind of how to approach this, how to structure this, you know, how to make whatever they want to say next very meaningful, very significant, something that creates positive ripples forward. And they also say, I love how free I feel to be my complete self with you. So again, there's that energy of the fact that you allow this person to kind of go through whatever it is they're going through right now, or you don't hold them to a standard of kind of conforming to your expectations of what love should be, or who this person should be. They feel very invited to kind of take off the masks, peel back the layers of themselves, open their heart more, kind of bring more of the depth and nuances of who they are, subtleties, quirks, you know, things that people don't really know about them, or that they've never really been comfortable bringing forth in a connection before. There's a sense here that you holding space for them to kind of present that in their own time is very alluring. It's coaxing them to that place of, this is the person that I'm safe with being the fullest version of myself, or, you know, that kind of transformational or changing version, the evolving version of themselves, with whatever that kind of looks like in terms of their life, in terms of their spirituality, in terms of emotionally, whatever it is they're going through right now. For every sort of milestone that they have, there's a sense of almost feeling more bonded to you, more strongly connected, which is helping them to kind of continue to motivate themselves in the direction of positive change, and it's motivating them to, you know, to continue to hold space and remain open-minded, and to continue to, you know, open their heart to give and receive with you emotionally in a deeper and more consistent or long-term capacity. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got M, S, V, C, R, M, A, O T Y W T D F and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose the Aventurine star. So let's take a look at the energies of then. How did this person feel about you when they first met you, in the earlier stages of the connection, or when you were dealing with each other previously, if there's distance or disconnect between the two of you? We have knowledge, Badger, bring your life into balance, and Lyrebird, genetic memory. So there's a sense here of a past life connection, something where this person may have felt, I know you from somewhere. You could have definitely triggered like past life memories within this person, or it feels like almost a fear of trusting too much in what you were presenting at face value, or more importantly, what they were feeling inside of themselves, because there almost could have been a sense of, I felt a deep and unexplainable connection to people before, and I've been proven that these situations were merely karmic lessons, or evidence of like patterns within, shadow sort of energies, that it may have been very difficult or complex for this person to sort of get on top of these things. And so there was almost a sense of hesitation on their part to fully trust that you were not just a reflection, like a test from the universe, reflective of yet another karmic cycle. So there's a sense here of some degree of mystery to you as well, a sense of you being very intuitive, maybe even having a strong connection to your ancestors, spirit guides, the divine, angels, just whatever it is you resonate with, where there's a sense that this person understood they would need to come to you fully transparent, everything kind of above board, nothing to hide, because there's almost a sense that you would see right through them, or you would be able to kind of decipher and discern beyond any sort of masks or mind games. And so that may have put a lot of pressure on this person as well to, again, sort of confront maybe aspects within themselves, ways in which they may have had a tendency even to move inauthentically, or with almost like a skepticism or a guardedness that could have resulted from kind of disasters as far as love is concerned, or somebody who is very like deeply emotional or highly sensitive, that when they love hard, they love completely. And so things that have fallen apart in their past, it almost feels to be something where they met you at a time, or you brought forth some kind of feeling within them of like, I don't want to go through the same thing again. I don't want this to be a repeat of what I've already experienced with another person. And a sense of almost needing to tread very cautiously or carefully as far as like their feelings for you, or even their interactions with you, because there's a sense of like, any sort of duplicity or funny business or anything that this person may have been trying to restrain within themselves, there could have been a sense of like, you'll see right through that. There's no kind of fooling your intuition in a sense. So it feels to be something that rather than kind of just dismissing the situation completely, there's almost a sense of they felt very inclined to sort of move at a slow pace because there was a sense of value to you in the situation. Like, what if this is just another karmic lesson? But what if this is the person that is kind of the reward on the other side of work I've done to transcend those karmic lessons? So it's almost the essence of they weren't totally dismissing you at first, but that they felt something stir deeply within, or again, like past life layers, spiritual aspects, feeling very empathically connected to you, where it almost kind of caused them to sort of tiptoe in the situation rather than diving straight in. There's a sense of almost them needing to kind of back into this situation slowly, a bit of feeling that they almost needed to restrain themselves from how much they interacted with you, or the nature of what they brought forward, a deep degree of understanding that you're not the kind of person that would tolerate someone who is playing games. So if they can't come correct, don't come at all, sort of an energy. A bit of almost that you could show them love, but you would also be a person who is not afraid to show tough love if necessary, which is part of it, feels like the intrigue within this person, that are, initially kind of in the beginning, were you just sort of another karmic lesson, a reflection of like a wound within themselves? And if not, what is kind of the growth that could be experienced? What are the positive aspects, of love and connection, or even kind of what was brought forth from within them, or what you would then choose to reveal that would be very constructive, as opposed to someone that may have experienced a lot of destructive love in their past. So let's see how these feelings and thoughts about you and the connection have evolved or changed. Okay, we have rebirth, reinvent yourself, give life to your dreams, create a new reality. The ladybug and sweet pea, happiness. And horse. So this ladybug energy is bringing forth the message, I'm happy I took a chance. So there is definitely a sense within this person that they're glad that they didn't listen to the wound or the trigger within that kind of was drawn towards you or intrigued by you, but then at the same point in time caused them initially to sort of pause or be a little bit hesitant, kind of the what if worst case scenario voice within themselves. They took that into account. They noted what that inner critic, or almost like a mechanism of self-protection within themselves, had to say, or had to kind of contribute to the approach that they were taking at first or in the past or kind of earlier on in the situation. But there's a sense here of almost enduring with this, continuing to press forward towards you, or towards almost not just trusting in their feelings, but trusting in themselves, it feels like, as well, and the work that they've done to kind of identify their patterns, learn what are red flags, and to kind of proactively seek to avoid those things or cut those things out of their life when they presented themselves. It may be something that they had been endeavoring to do for a while before you came into contact with one another, before you crossed paths. There's a sense of not just immediately sort of dismissing a hesitation within themselves as like a red flag. It's almost that it was a false flag in a sense, just a note to self that their romantic past might have been a bit rocky, but that didn't necessarily need to dictate what the future of love and partnership could look like for them. And so the ways in which they have kept like an open mind, or have started to kind of open up their heart, or have continued to open up their heart to you, or spending time with you, contemplating the situation, feeling into sort of their own feelings. It feels to be something that has caused them to kind of release some skepticism. It's causing them to want to pour more into the situation. Trusting in themselves. It feels like it's been very beneficial in that capacity of kind of showing this person that they've successfully kind of done some work within themselves. They've broken free of a cycle. They kind of are aware of what they've magnetized in previously that was sort of reflective of a woundedness within them, but that they are increasingly sort of feeling that you are the reflection of a healed version. You're sort of the way love should be, the antithesis of everything they've experienced, which is kind of different gradations of what love is not. So there's a sense that this person's emotions for you are increasing, that this is almost like they're getting butterflies, but with this momentum, not of nervousness, but almost, I need to take action to pivot this forward. I want to continue to kind of grow and evolve with this person, or, make my way towards them if they've been a bit standoffish, or, kind of just cautious in how they were navigating. It feels that there's a lot more trust here. You've calmed them in some way. You've dispelled some kind of fears. There may have even been sort of these little tests that they were giving, or just observing certain things, almost like scrutinizing you, or reading into like the subtleties and nuances for inconsistencies with sort of what you were presenting. Not that it was kind of you were giving off any sort of wrong vibes, but it almost feels to be something that through this kind of like deep and almost profound or mystical or like past life connection, spiritual, deep emotions that they might have like sensed as existing between the two of you, or that are possible, kind of unfolding these things. They've taken some time to understand that kind of you're a safe person to show them sort of a different way of love. You've encouraged this person to let down that wall, and to trust that this is reflective of like a new chapter, a new cycle within themselves. They may have created a new cycle or positive changes for themselves as well, and you're like the first person that has kind of stirred something emotionally, romantically, within them since those changes. And so it feels to be something where it's almost, without you knowing it, you successfully have passed a test of proving that sort of in a major way, life changes that they have sought to achieve, or transcending kind of like wounds emotionally speaking, that this was a right choice for them, that this was a right shift for them, and that correspondingly, like a compatible person has met them at their journey, at the intersection of like the here and now. If there's distance between the two of you, this can really speak to the idea of like a reconciliation, warming up to you in the situation, trying to create more closeness, more give and take between the two of you than has been the case in the past, or ways in which it almost like they feel that they can be more direct, or trusting in sort of the ways in which they are inspired to relate to you or to express their love, because you make them feel safe in love, but also you bring a lot of joy into their life. There's a sense of that they're lucky to have met you, or almost kind of looking back on old wounds and pitfalls, and even those patterns that they sought to break free from. And had those things not existed, had that kind of sourness not existed within their heart or their emotional life, they wouldn't have been able to kind of appreciate or savor, or experience as deeply what you bring to the table, or what the dynamic between the two of you represents, because there would have been no context of like the polar opposite. So this is definitely something where, you bring a lot of healing to this person, or you kind of are a representative of, there is a healed version of them that now exists, and there's a person out there that is the match for that. And so to continue to trust in kind of whatever's developing between the two of you, or what they're inspired to kind of create as far as like forward momentum in the situation, there's a lot more sense of, rather than kind of holding themselves back a bit, there's a sense of it's safe to be seen by this person. It's safe to trust in my feelings. That you are presenting as someone who is who they say they are. You're consistent. You're a positive influence. You bring kind of light and safety to them, as opposed to cause for concern or wounding, which might have been the case in kind of their romantic history in the past. So you definitely represent a new cycle for this person, or are kind of the romantic match for that new cycle they've created for themselves, or that they've stepped into. And so it feels to be something where, as well, you're helping this person to kind of release the energy of almost looking in the rear view mirror, wondering if their past will sort of repeat itself in the form of kind of less than desirable romantic connections. And you encourage this person to be very present in the here and now with one another, with the idea of like creating some sort of forward momentum. And you also encourage them to look towards the future of what's possible between the two of you with optimism, with faith that like good things are coming, rather than sort of things that they'll have to heal from later. So let's take a look at some messages from this person's higher self. What would they say to you right now, if they could tell you anything? And then I'll close the reading out with some initials. Okay, and they say, I'm learning to understand your pain and past so I can love you better. So this definitely speaks to the idea of earlier on in the connection, this person was very mindful of their own kind of pain and wounding, and was using that as the compass by which they were navigating their interactions with you, or how much they were giving, how much they were allowing themselves to receive from the situation. And now that there's been kind of tests that have been passed, or they vetted you out emotionally, they vetted the situation out, there's now this desire to hold space for sort of what you need, what your kind of wounds and your difficulties from before were, so that they can sort of show you in the same way that you, without knowing it, have sort of shown them that you're reflective of like a newer, healthier, positive cycle for themselves emotionally, and like in their life, they're wanting to be that for you, to do more, or to even start doing for the first time. Effort on their part, to be very kind of conscientious of allowing you to kind of process any fears or triggers that you might have, trying to kind of show up as a safe person, a safe space. This can speak as well to kind of more emotional depth that they're wanting to bring forward, more authenticity, relating to you on a level that is not just all about kind of walking with a pensiveness, but it's almost an intensity and more consistency than may have been kind of the case in what they were presenting to you before. Because there's a sense of you have really helped to reinforce for them that the work they've done to kind of understand their own wounds and transcend that has been successful. And so there's a sense of them wanting to like be that for you as well. They also say your energy is infinitely beautiful. I could bask in your effervescence all day and night. So they find your presence to be very healing, and again, like a reflection of a cycle of healing that they have gone through for themselves. They've crossed some kind of threshold in terms of lessons that they needed to learn, patterns that they needed to break free from, wounds that they needed to cauterize, and you are almost presented to them, or you represent for them, that higher vibrational partnership, or the potential of like building towards that, or even remedying or repairing the circumstance with that kind of as a long-term goal or an ideal that is very reachable. And it's something to where anything where they had kind of been standoffish, there's now this energy of, I want to experience more of you, and I want to give more of myself to the situation, because I see that we both sort of represent that higher level potential of love, or that higher level love that is the reward on the other side of all the struggles that have kind of taken each of you to kind of come to the place that you're at right now. They also say, I feel you, babe, even when I'm alone. I know this love is unlike anything I've ever known. So a deep empathic connection with you, feeling strongly guided towards you to be a support system, to open their heart to you even more, to allow themselves to receive the love you have to give. There's a sense of you bring forth an essence of purity within yourself, a very high vibrational energy and light that you hold within that is very nourishing to this person. And it also encourages them to sort of tap into that resource within themselves as well and allow that to be experienced by another person, by you. They also say watching you dance is hypnotic. It's almost like medicine. So this person could want to spend some alone time with you, some face-to-face time with you. There's a sense of wanting to create closeness or sort of repair any distance that exists between the two of you that may have been advertently or inadvertently created. There's a sense that they feel that the two of you balance each other out and you flow really well with one another, with kind of an understanding that it might have been sort of a process for each of you to kind of trust in your feelings, trust in what the other person had to bring to the table, or kind of them showing up at the point that they did in both of your individual journeys. You both might have kind of been vetting the other person out. And there's a sense of sort of like they've crossed a threshold where they're trusting now in their feelings for you. And so they're wanting to sort of step up and take the lead in a way that they might have been a little more passive or observant in the past. They also say, I love you with all I am. So they are understanding, have accepted, are embracing the idea that you represent the person that is the counterpart or the match to a higher vibrational version of themselves, a healed version of themselves, or just a self-accepting version of themselves, which it feels like is motivation for them to continue to go through the process of kind of holding themselves in more of a space of compassion. Not judging even any kind of skepticism or doubt or guardedness or wanting to sort of observe the situation before just kind of charging forth. There's a sense here of you inspire this person, or you allow this person to accept even that quality of themselves, to not feel bad about it, to not feel guilty about it, to not feel shame about it, but to just understand that that reflex or that instinct was in place because they've been hurt before and they've put in work to heal, and it's okay to need to kind of take things slow or check in with oneself. There's a sense that they appreciate you don't put pressure on them to be anything other than who they are, and that this is something, that feeling of acceptance that they get from you, it's very validating for wherever they are in their life and on their journey, and kind of it's very validating of whatever sort of threshold they've crossed within themselves in terms of the emotions that they have for you, and accepting those more deeply for themselves as well. They also say, thank you for helping me discover my purpose. So you may be somebody that, as they've gotten to know you, what you're focused on, what you are kind of valuing or prioritizing in your life. It may be something that aligns with kind of a call to action, or, a purpose, kind of like an inner drive, a pull towards something that they may have sensed within themselves and might have been kind of hesitant to take steps towards, or had thought of it as like a solitary path, and then all of a sudden, here's this other person, and it's like, okay, it's like a partnership. It's a team effort here. There's a sense that you inspire or allow this person even to kind of ask questions within themselves about sort of what's the meaning of how I'm spending my time? What am I sort of working toward in terms of long-term goals? How could I be, showing up for myself more, and then showing up to those goals as a better version of me, or even sort of revising whatever those ideas about what the future would look like have been for this individual. This is almost something of feeling very supported and very seen being even in the process of questioning, of revising those kind of ideas or ideals. They may also sense that like your purpose is sort of linked with one another, and this can almost be the stirrings in a way of like power couple energy, if they're then allowing themselves to kind of trust in the intersection of each other, you know, in your lives, in the sense of like a deep bond, a soulmate connection, like a past life connection, a very spiritual connection, that even if it's very different kind of purposes that the two of you have, it's power couple energy in the sense of feeling very supported in those individual kind of missions and call forth towards something. Or they may even envision the two of you collaborating on something that kind of helps to make sense out of what they may have felt drawn to do, but almost like there's an idea of it could be more successful, or it makes more sense, or you're like a missing piece or a component, or you're that sort of ingredient that kind of helps it all come together. And there's a sense that whatever they kind of know about your sort of motivations, your plans, your goals, you know, whatever that looks like for you, there's a sense of them knowing that kind of things that are important to them, things that they're working on, things that they've kind of desired or dreamed of, that also fits very nicely in with whatever it is you're trying to cultivate for you. So definitely a sense of this person wanting to kind of pick up the pace of the situation, you know, sort of grow closer towards one another, or endeavor to kind of bridge any distance or gap between the two of you. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got H, P, A, H, X, F, B, I, N, T, L, D, G, and K. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the agate star. So let's start with the energies of then. How did the person on your mind feel about you when they first met you, when they first started getting to know you, or earlier on in the relationship, or prior to any kind of separation or disconnect? Okay, we have culmination, completion, and renewal. Parrot, listen intently to understand. And Falcine, wisdom. So there's a sense that initially or earlier on, this person felt in some way that you were undergoing a process of personal transformation that maybe you weren't really discussing with anybody, weren't kind of fully aware of what was happening, or were needing to, or were kind of in the midst of like a rebirth sort of energy, to where there almost is a sense here of this person being intuitively drawn to you, even to kind of just keep you close, be near to your energy, because in some way you held like the key to understanding a similar process of transformation that they were going through and maybe weren't sharing with you, things that they may have feared changing within their life that they knew would kind of lead to perhaps like dark night of the soul, almost like self initiated tower moments within their life. There's a sense of maybe even things that you had been through or that you'd overcome, ways in which you'd kind of picked yourself up out of the aftermath of tower moments or deep personal transformation, that what you'd been through or what you were in the midst of going through was kind of unearthing some deep wisdom from within you that in some way could be very beneficial to them in terms of navigating their own personal transformation, or a sense of almost like it might not have been the right time for the two of you and when you first sort of met one another, but there's almost a sense of transformed versions of ourselves are who are supposed to be together. You almost made this person a little less afraid to kind of undergo the transformation process. There may have been something where they felt validated or vindicated. You could have almost said things and without knowing it kind of provided them with confirmations. You in and of yourself might have been like a sign or a synchronicity that they had asked for. And there's a sense of almost not necessarily knowing what the full experience between the two of you was supposed to be like, what the meaning of it was, or would become. But there's a sense of them understanding that you are a significant person, like on their spiritual journey, on their emotional journey. It feels that initially, even if there was like romance between the two of you, or romantic feelings, that there was also a sense within them that like you represent or you represented in the past and kind of perhaps still represent an essence of like holding a key to a different version of them that they hadn't met yet, that they were unfamiliar with, or that they were kind of hesitant to sort of look toward or to become, like necessary changes or things that they may have been getting kind of nudges within themselves, or even again like signs and synchronicities to undergo some kind of transformational process voluntarily, so it wouldn't have to be done kind of forcefully on the part of the universe. You help this person to kind of like take steps in that direction, or opening their mind to the idea of change doesn't have to be scary. There's also a sense that you represent a very different type of person in a lot of ways than who they had previously sort of found themselves attracted to, or that they themselves were able to attract in. The fact that you would even give them the time of day, or that there was like a resonance between the two of you. It feels like even if this person had a lot to bring to the table, in various sort of ways, there's almost a sense of you possessed a light within you, or some kind of wisdom, or were working kind of towards that, or being sort of driven or propelled towards that, maybe even kind of by higher forces, by spirit, by the universe, by God, goddess, whatever it is that you resonate with. There's a sense of like, you're not just an ordinary person that crossed paths with them, that it was no kind of accident that the two of you sort of aligned with one another, or came into contact with one another, and you brought forth almost like a degree of mystery, in terms of a very compelling urge within this person, emotionally speaking, towards you. But at the same time, it feels like you may have instigated a lot of overthinking or like mind chatter within this person, almost like a fixation as well, in a way, trying to sort of figure out, very curious about sort of how you operate, how you work, who you are as an individual, what led to kind of the version of you that they sort of, met initially, or connected with initially, because the feelings, the emotions stirred for you, and kind of the draw towards you, it's very different from whatever they had previously been attracted to, or again, kind of were able to sort of bring in for themselves. You made this person kind of initially want to take accountability for themselves, or to almost kind of look at where they could have settled in the past, or shortchanged themselves in the past, what they had kind of thought was sort of the best that they could do, or the ideal sort of person. What would be sort of the individual that would make them happy, that would complete them or complement them. There's something that you have within you that they were able to kind of sense or see or witness. Maybe it's even just kind of how you live your life, who you are as a person, that was so different from anyone that would have previously kind of connected with them, to where it's almost you raise the bar or the standard, it feels like, in terms of what love has meant for them. It's like you opened up a lot of questions for this person about what have I been doing in my romantic life? How have the people that I've resonated with, how did they truly benefit me? Almost a sense of kind of like, you may have really sparked or inspired this person to start to understand that people that they could have resonated with as like their type were just simply someone that sort of resonated or was a complement to a wound within themselves that they might not have even anticipated or seen. Almost like a lack mentality. Even if they were fine and decent partners that they'd had in the past, there's almost a sense of they'd limited themselves in terms of the idea of like a transcendent connection with another person, ways in which a person could connect with somebody else that go beyond just material or even like shallow level emotional connections, or something that it's almost you opened up this person's kind of like heart and mind to considering sort of different components or qualities in kind of the people that they'd surrounded themselves with, the relationship they have with themselves, even romantic partners that they'd chosen or maybe even sort of settled for. And it feels to be something that you may have sparked a lot of aha moments within this person sort of earlier on in the connection, or in getting to know one another, specifically in their sort of observation of you and kind of reflecting upon that. A lot of introspection, it feels like, and again, perhaps some overthinking or like mind chatter in terms of just deeper questions about themselves, about like who you are, who are they, kind of what has love been up to this point in time. Everything they thought was love, it's almost there's a sense of them feeling they had no idea what love really was until they cross paths with you. This can definitely be like a love at first sight kind of situation that might have been very confusing for this individual, sort of not thinking anything like that was real, or maybe what they'd kind of construed for themselves as sort of like deep connection or attraction to another person, kind of early on, maybe intense relationships they'd entered into very quickly. There's almost a sense of like you spoke to this person on an emotional level to where there's almost a sense of certainty from you or towards you from the start, and in a way also compelling them not to like rush forward, but to really take the time to like sit and contemplate and consider. And that in and of itself being sort of a redefinition of the nature of like, what is love? What is partnership? What have I been allowing into my life? What have I been settling for? What have I been giving that sort of falls short of this? What is possible kind of with this deeper understanding of like something that is stirred within, but is not necessarily bringing forth nervousness, almost kind of just a peace or a momentum, a lot of trust in sort of the earlier stages of the situation with you, or kind of what they were able to sort of see and decipher of you. So let's see how these feelings and thoughts have evolved and changed. Okay, we have gentleness. Be kind to yourself and others. Honor your gentleness. Speak words of love. The porcupine and anemone. Boundaries. And earth dragon. So with this earth dragon, they see you as their treasure. They treasure this connection. They treasure the time that you spend with one another. Whatever this kind of feeling is that has opened up within them or has kind of opened their eyes to bigger questions in their life, has motivated them to start to redefine what they've considered their type, kind of what it is that they've been calling into their world, into their reality, what they've wanted versus kind of what they've truly needed or what's possible. It's something that they find a lot of value on an increased basis, a lot of meaning. It's almost like a precious gift to be able to have been awakened so profoundly to almost like a transcendent level of experience and emotion and loving feelings, or the experience of love, than they even knew was possible. This can definitely speak to like heart chakra activation, opening, that it feels like you provide this person just through your presence, through the ways in which you have affected them, energetically speaking, and even kind of the real-time interactions, between the two of you, even at times where it might be kind of difficult or people get triggered. There's a sense of that there's a lot of healing that takes place because you force this person almost without meaning to, in a very just sort of by virtue of the fact of who you are, you force this person to sort of look within and see, where have I been settling? Where have I been, completely just misinformed or operating out of a space of the wounds within, calling in certain people and experiences and sort of setting myself up for, heartbreak or disappointment or feeling that my needs weren't met. All of that is kind of out in the open by virtue of maybe what you talk about with one another, these feelings that have sort of stirred within, something that has like instigated sort of a degree of taking personal accountability, courage and faith that peeling back those layers of wounds or shadow that might be uncomfortable, that there's kind of value on the other side of that they feel better kind of in your presence, or that you kind of encourage, or you provide some sort of foundation or stability to them becoming a better version of them. They see you as somebody, and the experience with you, it provides them a lot of support while they are becoming more proactive in their own kind of healing journey, or even endeavoring that for the first time. There's a sense that this person is very motivated to do whatever they need to do in order to actively and proactively sort of take down any layers of toxicity or negativity that may be the byproduct of interpersonal relationships they've had before, belief systems, worldviews, life experiences, their childhood, their upbringing, all of that. This is almost the energy of somebody who's excited to go on a healing journey, because it helps them to be more in a receptive energy of like this very unique vibration of love that you bring to them, or loving feelings that kind of surface from within. The more they sort of scrape away those layers of distortion, it's almost like they're able to access deeper layers of feeling within themselves than they even knew was possible. And it's all kind of directed towards you. It's inspired by you. It's triggered by you. You trigger love, not in terms of something that people need to kind of like work and struggle for, but it's almost the idea of loving you is so easy. You help me to love myself in such a seamless way. It's a dreamy kind of energy, and yet there's a lot of creative potential there in terms of they see the connection with you, or the feelings that you've inspired or elicited. They almost see you as like a muse, or the connection as a muse, something that may be inspiring them to look towards the future and kind of ask themselves, where else have I been settling in my life? Where else have I kind of not understood or realized or accepted my full potential? How could I be doing better? How could I be living more in alignment with like the truth of who I am? It feels that this is also a situation that really inspires this person to start stepping more into their authenticity, or even to bring that authenticity out into other interpersonal relationships, into how others view them. There's a sense of they feel very safe and nurtured by you in a way that any kind of desire that they have to sort of reshape the way others see them to reflect more of the core components of who they are within, to kind of take down, you know, masks that they've been wearing, redefine themselves in some sort of way. It's almost, you're that right support system at the end of the day, even if it's difficult, even if there's, you know, it triggers other people, or there's rejection, or, you know, they have a difficult time with that, with themselves. There's a sense of you're a safe harbor. The connection is a safe harbor. It's a place where, even if that process of kind of raising their vibration very consciously is messy, there's almost a sense of you provide some kind of balm or healing to them, just based on like who you are, kind of a sweetness that you bring to the table. There's an energy here as well that you in some way have like crossed a threshold within your own kind of personal transformation or healing journey. You're radiating now as a more authentic version of you, an empowered version of you, that you're somebody who honors the need for your personal boundaries, but also whatever boundaries or kind of limits of access you have in place, that they see you as someone that this isn't coming from a distorted place. It's coming from a place of self-respect and self-love. And so it's something that they're not triggered by that or taking it personally. It's something that inspires them to kind of look at themselves and say, where have I been too lax with that in my own life as far as other things are concerned? You know, where have I kind of just allowed people easy access, and it's sort of interfered with my own vibration, or I've kind of, you know, taken on and sort of sponged on maybe like negativity from other people, belief systems of, you know, love and life and who I am and the life I'm living that maybe don't fit with me anymore, don't resonate with who I truly am, are just like a byproduct of toxicity. So it's something where you have inspired this person to start taking accountability and ownership for themselves and their life and kind of how they're living, how that's presented, what that's drawing in, what they're allowing into their life. And there's a sense of wanting to do what they can to like protect the connection, you know, to protect you from sort of inadvertent hurts based on wounds or aspects within themselves that they don't know about, or they haven't addressed, or they've been kind of deliberately ignoring. So this is almost a sense of they're wanting to kind of go down into those depths, into the core of who they are, and to make sure that they're bringing forth kind of the best version of themselves that's possible, because there's a desire to kind of build towards the future, to continue to sort of solidify the foundation you have with one another, or use the foundation that you have with one another as a way to kind of build into a different direction, a better direction, more long-term future potential, because they want to experience more of this. They want to experience more of a love that's easy, that make them feel that they are an easy person to love, or that it's effortless, that the love they have to give is effortlessly received, or it's not just good enough, it's wonderful. And that's something that they might not have experienced before. It could be somebody that is very self-critical, or you know, kind of a perfectionist almost. And so something where just them as they are, they feel very accepted in kind of not having to put on a show, not having to scrutinize themselves. Even in the midst of like a questioning or a desire to transform, there's a sense of you complement that very well, or they're able to sort of do what they need to do in order to sort of move into more of a space of authenticity within themselves, kind of the light and shadow polarities, and it continues to kind of match your vibration, match what you're bringing to the table. As time goes on, there's a sense of the bond between the two of you, or the desire to strengthen the bond, that it becomes stronger. It becomes more apparent that like, this is a good situation. This is in my best interest. It's reflective of like a higher level of who I am, which it feels like inspires them to continue to change for themselves, and to continue to kind of you know, change into sort of the best and most loving version of them for you and for the future of what the connection can hold. So let's get some messages from this person's higher self and see what they would tell you right now, if they could say anything. Okay, and they say we have two minds that think as one, two hearts marching to the same beat. So there's that energy that they feel very aligned with you. You fit in very well with kind of a work in progress version of them, the best version of them, the unsure version of them. Like every version of them, they seem to kind of find the complement with you. There's a sense that this person feels that like your strengths really align with one another. The deficits or weaknesses within each of you, it's like the strengths within the other help to kind of hoist that up within the other person or provide that grounding and support. They see the two of you are very balanced, very well matched. They feel very balanced, very much able to accept themselves in kind of both the light and shadow polarity of who they are, because they feel very seen and accepted, by you and within your presence. And we also have, you are the sunshine of my life. You bring joy and light even in my darkest times. So there's a lot of motivation to infuse power into this connection, to empower themselves, to kind of step more into their own authenticity, to trust in the nature of what they're feeling, what they're experiencing with you. This is someone who's looking towards the future with hope and happiness. You bring a lot of joy to them. The love or the experience of romance, the feelings that they have, they're very empowering for this person. This is somebody who might have even kind of had a fear of love before, or a fear of commitment, or a fear of getting hurt even. This is a sense that with you, or they've reached the point with you where they're wanting to move at full force forward towards that commitment, or towards the deepening of that commitment. It's almost the sense of not feeling trapped within a connection, but feeling very, very free and very expansive within the dynamic with you, or even the idea of kind of solidifying that bond and that partnership. They also say, I don't think I've ever experienced real love until I met you. So there's that confirmation that you've raised the bar, you've raised the standard, you defied this person's expectations or opened their eyes to what they thought was love before, versus kind of what's happened with you or what's happening within them. Since they met you, since you've gotten to know one another currently at this particular point in time, this is almost somebody who falls more in love with you every day. And you help this person to fall more in love with themselves every day as well. There's a sense of understanding that it's like, for as much as they love you, it's a mirror reflection of an element of love that exists within them. And this feels to be something very different from what they've known of partnerships. They may have been used to kind of conditional love, transactional love, love that sort of fed the ego, or was just very much surface level. There's a sense here that there's a soul bond between the two of you. Mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. They are deeply in love with you, or are falling more deeply in love with you. And they also say the intensity of these feelings scared me more than I like to admit. So this is almost, it's bringing forth the energy of like you startled this person. They didn't know they were able to feel something so deeply, so quickly for another person. Definitely can be like love at first sight situation, or something where you could have very quickly kind of caused like a heart chakra opening or expansion. This might have even happened when they first saw you, first spoke to you, watched you from afar even, anything like that, that compelled them towards you, compelled them to want to get to know you, want to make that move forward. Something where it's almost a transformational kind of love in a very positive sort of way. It feels like somebody who's actively working to transcend any sort of barriers of hesitation or moments of doubt, kind of times where they second guess themselves. They're very determined to sort of cross that threshold, to hold on to this situation, to treasure this. They see you as a blessing. They see this circumstance as kind of the gift that they've been waiting for in their life, that they never even thought was coming. They never even thought to ask for, or knew was possible. They also say your bravery and strength is inspiring. So this person really loves the way that you love, or that you kind of look at the world with hope and optimism, even if you've been through your struggles, you've been through your tower moments, you've been through some process of personal transformation. You help and inspire this person to go with the flow and even lean into the ebbs in their own sort of journey of self-discovery, or stepping more into that authenticity, allowing themselves to be reshaped by the experience with you, or the love that's exchanged, even in the idea of kind of questioning what they'd settled for before, maybe wounds within themselves that were calling in sort of other partners, and the ways in which they might have sort of had a distorted image of what they brought to the table emotionally, that could have definitely affected how they were showing up in partnerships, and like the type of people they were allowing in close enough to hurt them, close enough to wound them, close enough to validate wounds that they carried within. With you, there's almost the sense of it's okay for them to let go of those crutches. It's okay for them to sort of say what they knew of love before, what they thought was love before, that maybe that was like unhealthy, that was trauma bonding, that was something that was reflective of like a lower evolutionary version of this person. And so through kind of personal change, through a willingness to sort of operate from the heart space and not just purely from intellect, this is something that it's encouraging them to continue to go down that path, and that they're also seeing very positive results. What they're experiencing with you is changing them for the better. And they also say, forever in my mind, heart and soul, only you. So this is definitely the energy of someone who could see you as the one, their person, someone they want to build a long-term future with or marry, strengthen the relationship with one another. There's a sense of it's a blessing that you've shown up in their life. You almost kind of saved their life at a time when they didn't even know it needed saving, where they were kind of just moving through the motions of their reality in kind of a numbness even, or a complacency, and you've brought something to life. This is someone who's now inspired to continue to grow and develop the connection with you, and to also kind of grow and develop in positive ways in other aspects of their life. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got L, F, Q, L, G, U, E, K, U, M, P, V, A, C, and I. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.